8:10 on this Friday morning. Phil Egan, good morning to you.
Morning.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Yeah, happy Valentine's Day.
What's the big plan in the Egan household?
We're going to spice things up tonight, I'd say.
Easy, Phil.
Yes. Now go for an Indian.
Very good.
Go for a nice Indian meal.
Where would you recommend?
Oh, I have table booked in a lovely place called Rassam in Glasgow.
Glasgow, beautiful spot.
Beautiful, yeah. Last time I was there, it's quality, so that's what I meant.
You're a classy sort, Phil.
Yeah.
Classy sort.
What's your go-to dish?
Do you know what? I don't have one. Like, I go in with an open mind, yeah. Because
lamb sag.
Oh, no,
all day long.
Onion bhaji.
Oh, yeah, there'd be a few onion bhaji.
Onion bhaji is not really a dish, though, is it?
No,
it's like
that's just to get you in the mood.
Something to have.
Yeah.
Great.
So, yeah, no,
Man,
go in.
enjoy that, Phil.
I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, I'm going to take it easy now with eating today and save it all for that.
Yeah, eat nothing. Get a
See
good.
me just eating a rice cake or something, you wonder why.
Do a reverse so they're getting a good run today and have no dinner all day long.
I will be starving.
Where come from there, yeah. We'd heard from Brian Fenton, obviously, just there before the ads in conversation with Owen. It was the Mitsubishi launched their partnership with Dublin GAA. One good carry man to another, Owen.
Exactly.
Was it like the one that got away? Do you think there are some players, obviously, around about like that you could be thinking?
Keane O'Sullivan, Brian Fenton would have made a good spine with this Kerry team. Aidan O'Shea. Basically they're the Jack Grealish and Declan Rice of Kerry GAA, basically.
I wish you'd have said. Why didn't you say that to him?
If I thought of it, I would have said it.
That'll be the next time. Make a little note of it. Right, we've got about 10 minutes, Phil, to get into the football good stuff and an interesting weekend of Premier League ahead, which we'll get into in a minute. But James McClean was posting, obviously, last night in the social media channels a fairly gruesome-looking picture of his leg in a brace. And he's done his ligament, and it doesn't look great in terms of the timeline, obviously, back for the qualifiers.
So we've 6 weeks until that game in Slovakia, but you can't really use 6 weeks as a time frame for James McClean because he has to be back before that. He can't just rock up.
He's a quick healer traditionally. I don't know if that has any bearing on this one.
No, absolutely. I would think if there's one player that could get back from an injury, it would be James McClean, because we know his fitness regime. He's definitely. I don't know. I'm not there for when the Ireland team does the bleep test, but I'd be surprised if anyone beats James McClean, because I remember an interview with Darren Fletcher, the former Manchester United midfielder who would have played with McClean at West Brom, said like he'd never seen anything like it. Just an absolute freak when it comes to fitness. So, you know, he'll be well able to get back to his levels of fitness once he can get running on that knee. And he's going to be one of Mick McCarthy's pretty much guaranteed starters if he's available. If not, then Mick has a few things to think about.
What are you thinking? Like, what's the...
Well, there's options there. So you've got a few right-footed players that can play on the left. So Callum Robinson is now starting to get game time. It hasn't really worked out for him at Sheffield United, but he's gone back to get a loan move. He's gone back to the Championship. He's now playing with West Brom, but that's a good loan move because West Brom are 6 points clear in the Championship. And he actually had a hand in the first goal the other night against Reading. So he's, he's got game time, and he's actually played... He's shown glimpses in the Ireland jersey. I can actually remember Martin O'Neill took him off against Wales in the Nations League game when he was one of our better players. Aaron Connolly's another option. Unfortunately, though, he's not getting game time. My worry is that because things are getting serious for Brighton, that last weekend in the Watford game, Connolly was on the bench and Graham Potter used 3 subs and Connolly didn't get a run. So that's a bit of a concern. But, like if McClean isn't ready, then Mick has a few options there. And Robbie Brady would have been an option, but he's not getting game time.
If you're power ranking them, it sounds like it's that order.
Robinson, Connolly, Brady. Yeah, that's...
He doesn't do something radical like, remember the John Walters experiment where one of the forward players gets shunted over. Maybe he was more suited to it than some of the others, but like Shane Long obviously is a...
I think further back to Simon Cox on the left. Remember that under Trapattoni?
What a moment that was. This is almost the perfect time to whip out the old 3-5-2. Because there's a couple of wide spaces up for grabs.
He's not going to do it, though, is the thing.
Absolutely not going to do it.
Specifically said in an interview with Stephen Doyle this week that I am not... Stephen said to him 3-5-2 and he said, I'm not going to do that.
That is before the McClean injury. We don't have a right winger locked down, and now we don't have a left winger locked down. They're the two.
I'm thinking about the right wing.
And we have 2 amazing fullbacks. Wing backs.
Well, do you know, on that point, right, the thing that struck me from the interview where Stephen said to him, the players that you have, Enda Stevens, etc., John Egan, all these players are used to playing in this 3 at the back formation. Would you not think about that? And he said the reason for not doing it was when they come in, we won't have long enough to work in that system. But isn't the whole point the fact that they're playing that system at their clubs? Doesn't that make it, the fact that they don't have much time when they come in with Ireland, isn't that mean it's more of a no-brainer to go 3 at the back? Because they've less time to prepare. That's the system they're used to playing in, rather than introducing something that, for the
Mick
vast
would
majority of
argue,
the years,
let's
they
just
don't
go
play.
with the 4-3-3 as he puts it, or it's put, but it really is a 4-5-1. And at times McGoldrick drops because he's not an out-and-out striker, McGoldrick. He really is a number 10.
So you're saying it's a 4-6?
No, the problem with McGoldrick is when he is in that central position, he holds the ball up brilliantly, but his natural game is to drift. And that's what he does with Sheffield United. That's, as I said, I can remember when he broke into the Ireland squad and he was playing with Ipswich, and Daryl Murphy, his club teammate, described him as another version of Wes in terms of he's a creative player.
Yeah.
But we're trying to use him as a number 9, but he is effectively a number 10.
Well, in fairness, we actually haven't got the worst out of him.
No,
in that role either.
he's been excellent. But every so often you'll see him drop in a game because he's not getting the ball. So he wants the ball.
Yeah.
And it would actually make more sense, rather than a 4-3-3 or a 4-5-1 or whatever, that you'd play a 4-4-2 and you'd have a striker, whoever it may be, and then you give licence to McGoldrick to drift and create space, because he is actually quite a good creator.
Lenny says, a blessing if McClean misses the Slovakia game, which is nonsense.
Disagree. I thought he was actually
It's
good
ridiculous.
against Denmark as well.
Like, we've been talking for the last 3 or 4 weeks in the Irish rugby terminology about missing the dog from the pack. Like, Ireland need a bit of a dog. That Republic of Ireland team need a bit of a dog, and he is it.
Like, I mean, in a wider sense, I can kind of see that school of thought that we need to get away from the idea that James McClean is Ireland's most important player. But we also need to accept that Mick McCarthy is Ireland's manager, and that in this system, James McClean is vital. Now, as I say, I would much rather see a different formation, a different style of play, where perhaps the talents of James McClean aren't as essential as they are at the moment. So I can see that Texter's point, but given that Mick McCarthy is manager, this is a big blow for Ireland for next month.
And you see the replays of that goal against Wales, such a sumptuously struck.
What a night, yeah. But even
Such a sweet strike.
the goal he scored in Vienna, he was brilliant in that campaign.
Yeah. Right, another person in contact wondering, saying that he'd been playing well the last while. How did he get injured? But it was he went off injured during Stokes game against Preston on Wednesday night, and
Which was a spicy affair.
Was it?
Weekends,
Bit of needle in it.
Yeah.
Bit of Indian.
Yeah.
It's all about the spice today, it turns out. So was Leicester tonight. Some reports this morning, I was listening to TalkSport in the Wind, they were talking about Espirito Santo and links. He's got 16 months or whatever it is to rise, something like that, to run in his contract, and there's some talk about him potentially leaving there. And they were talking about some links to Manchester United, which my first reaction was, Jesus, I hadn't heard that before. Yeah. And
he was linked with the Arsenal job before Arteta got it, and he's done a very good job with Wolves, and we don't really know how good. I still don't really know what he'd be like at another club. The way Wolves play, even tonight, now they've used 20 players all season in the Premier League, and if you take into account this is their 42nd game of the season, and he pretty much sticks with the same 11. So now, one thing he's done well this season is he's tweaked the formation. That at one stage there was a few games where he started Adama Traore instead of Matt Doherty, but now he plays the two of them. And Traore's gone to different level this season, where all that potential that he's had, that raw talent, we're starting to see end product. Like, he's always gone by players, but now he's actually able to slow down and pick passes and score goals. So Nuno Espirito Santo's done a brilliant job at Wolves, and I can see why he would be linked with other clubs. I could see why the link with Arsenal, but in terms of Manchester United, if United are trying to get back to the top table, I'm not sure.
He's more proven than obviously the guy they have at the minute is the thing, but
I think a lot more people are.
We'll see.
Proven.
Yeah, that's not necessarily a recommendation for him.
Is there any way that Adama Traore is a Wolves player come August?
See, I don't know how he fits into other teams. I think he's perfect for this Wolves formation, the way they play the 3 at the back, and he's been excellent. And I wonder as well, though, because he was playing in a deeper role, now that he plays in a more advanced role, will teams start to figure him out a bit? I thought, actually, I'll tell you who did a good job on him, Luke Shaw, because that 0-0 draw, which a lot of people said it wasn't a great game, but it was one of Luke Shaw's better games for United, and he had the physicality that he could match Adama Traore. I think back to the Liverpool game, Traore caused Liverpool all sorts of problems, and I know Liverpool still won the game, but he's obviously caused City all sorts of problems this season. He scored in both games, and they obviously beat City twice this season. So I love watching him play. I'd love to see a team with him and Sam Maximan of Newcastle play, and they just play on the counter-attack, destroy teams. But yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see have teams copped onto him.
Yeah, seems to figure them out.
Or even just double up on
Were
him.
you saying in the office earlier there's some possibility that Norwich Liverpool is off tomorrow?
There's a slight chance. Storm Dennis is coming in.
Right.
And obviously we saw what happened last week with the Storm Kira and the Man City West Ham game, which is now being rescheduled for next week. So that could be a potential headache if it doesn't happen. Look, we don't know. It's all speculation. You don't know how strong the winds will be. It's not as if the conditions on the pitch could be the issue. It could be more the safety around getting to the...
They'll probably have to make that, on that basis, they'll have to make that call early enough.
Yeah, well, that's the 5:30 game.
Yeah,
And
but they can't leave it, like the point of the people getting there being the danger. They'll have to try and make it. Sure, look, we'll see how that goes. The Arsenal-Newcastle, obviously, on Sunday, I was reading a thing with Harry Redknapp. He foresees Arsenal going on a long winning run, possibly getting into the top six. Going on a long winning run, getting into the top six, and possibly getting into the top four. Has he lost the plot entirely?
Maybe his logic is that they've had training. They've actually had some time now with Mikel Arteta, no matches. They've actually been able to work on training so he can implement his game plan. He's been doing it, obviously. You can see the subtle changes since he took over, but this is a more intense period where he can absolutely drill it into the players. This is how I want you to play. And obviously Newcastle is a game that they won on the opening weekend of the season, and I don't think many people thought that it would be, by the time they met later in the season, in the middle of February, that it would be Arsenal that would have the new manager.
So 13 games left in the season. To close that 10-point gap on fourth, you need to win the majority of your games at this point. They've got to play Liverpool. They're going to lose that game. They've got to go to Spurs. Probably won't get 3 points from that game. They've got to play Leicester City. Probably won't get 3 points from that game. They've got to go to Molineux. Probably won't get 3 points from that game. That, for me, is a top four written off straight away.
I don't think
getting into the top six would actually be a very good achievement from Arsenal at this point. The most important fixtures on the horizon for Arsenal right now are the Olympiacos back-to-back fixtures and winning the Europa League. Harry Redknapp is talking nonsense. Absolute nonsense. All he's got to do is look at the Premier League table to see that there's no chance of him finishing top four. Look at their fixtures then, and he can make an educated guess that the top six would actually be a very, very good finish to the season.
That was part of his rationale. They have a soft run coming, and
that's not a soft run.
Everything's going to come together.
The thing is, if they do miss out on European football, it actually might help them next season. Now, it obviously doesn't work well in terms of the budget. It might hamper them in the transfer window, but you've seen it. Leicester, for example, tonight, if they win, they go second. They've had no European football. They've actually played the same amount of, or they've used the same amount of players as Wolves. I mentioned the 20 players, but they've obviously played less games. And this is where, if Arsenal were to miss out on European football, I agree. I think the best chance they have of getting European football next season is how they do in the Europa League. But
last word on Chelsea United Monday night. United are obviously going to, all the speculation we read, they're going to have an unbelievable
team next season. So you've got Moussa Dembele up front. You have Jadon Sancho on the right. You've got to try and fit Grealish and Maddison, not Grealish or Maddison, Grealish and Maddison into the team. And then obviously Rashford is on the left. Bruno Fernandes will be playing in the two. They'll play a 4-2-3-1. But I'm still struggling to see where, are you playing Bruno Fernandes and one of Maddison and Grealish as the two? Where does Scott McTominay fit into that? You need someone in the engine room.
Where does Aaron Ramsey fit into this? Ray Parlour was saying this morning that Paul Pogba and Aaron Ramsey should be made in a swap deal, so you've got to fit Aaron Ramsey into that team somewhere.
Ramsey, Maddison, Grealish.
Tony Kroos will be calling for a start as well next season.
Ray Parlour was
Luka Modric on his way.
Luka Modric going to be knocking on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's door.
Welcome to 1995. Phil, thanks a million. Enjoy football over the weekend. Enjoy the Indian tonight.
Will do.
Look forward to the reports on that. Sounds like an absolute belter. 8:25 on this Friday morning. Last night, Tommy Walsh gave us an insight into hurling's deep roots in Kilkenny.